The vastness of space holds many secrets, but none more profound than the legacy of those who came before. Eons before humanity first looked to the stars, before our ancestors discovered fire or carved their first tools, the progenitor races governed the galaxy with a wisdom and power that bordered on the divine. Their civilization spanned countless star systems, their technology so advanced it seemed like magic to the primitive species they watched over. Among these ancient beings was Elorion, a revered entity whose knowledge and vigilance safeguarded countless worlds from threats beyond mortal comprehension. But even the mightiest civilizations can fall. In the passage of time, their vigilance grew quiet, their watchtowers empty, and ancient evils lay dormant in the dark spaces between stars. The progenitor's absence left a vacuum in the cosmic order, a void waiting to be filled by younger races still learning to reach for the stars. Now, as humanity pushes its boundaries into the cosmos, establishing colonies on distant worlds and building fleets of increasingly sophisticated ships, they unknowingly inherit a legacy of protection. Their technological achievements, while impressive by their own standards, are but a flicker compared to the brilliant flame of progenitor knowledge. Yet destiny rarely waits for perfect timing, and the universe has chosen its new guardians. The story begins in the cold emptiness of deep space, where patrol vehicle Sierra 7, under the command of Lieutenant Sarah Chen, detects an unknown vessel drifting into human territory. The ship appears almost ethereal, its hull shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence that defies conventional scanning equipment. Its design is unlike anything recorded in human databases, its very presence a mystery that sends ripples through the scientific community. Dr. Elise Harrington's hands trembled as she suited up for the boarding operation. After 15 years of studying xenobiology, after countless papers theorizing about the possibility of advanced alien life, she was about to step foot on a progenitor vessel. The shuttle ride from the research station felt eternal, each second stretching as her mind raced with possibilities. "Remember the protocols," Commander Isaac Gale's voice crackled through her helmet comm, "we don't know what we're walking into. Stay behind the security team." Harrington nodded, though her attention was fixed on the mysterious ship growing larger in the shuttle's viewport. Its surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, yet sensor readings indicated it was solid. As they approached, she noticed patterns etched into the hull, symbols that seemed to change when viewed from different angles. The boarding team consisted of 6 people: Commander Gale, Dr. Harrington, Lieutenant Anders, Sparks, Kai, and 3 security officers. As they passed through the ship's entrance, which opened without any apparent mechanism, they found themselves in an environment that defied conventional physics. Gravity shifted subtly as they moved, always keeping them oriented to the nearest surface. The walls pulsed with a soft, bioluminescent light that responded to their presence. "This is incredible," Sparks whispered, his engineer's mind already trying to comprehend the technology surrounding them. "The power requirements for something like this would be..." His voice trailed off as they entered what appeared to be the ship's central chamber. There, suspended in a field of shimmering energy, was Elorion. The progenitor being's form was difficult for human eyes to fully process. It seemed to exist in more dimensions than they could perceive. But even in this state, they could see it was grievously wounded. "Please." The word echoed in their minds rather than their ears, accompanied by a sense of urgent purpose. "There is little time." Dr. Harrington stepped forward, her scientific objectivity warring with awe. "We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened?" The response came not in words but in images that flooded their consciousness. They saw vast armadas of twisted ships, worlds being consumed by something that defied description, and battles that raged across entire solar systems. The visions were so intense that several team members staggered under their weight. "They return." Elorion's mental voice grew weaker. "The Void Hunters, ancient enemy, must prepare." Commander Gale steadied himself against a wall, his military training barely keeping him composed. "How can we prepare? What are we facing?" Elorion's form flickered, and new images filled their minds: schematics, tactical data, and warnings encoded in symbols that burned themselves into their memory. My knowledge, yours now. Last gift, last hope. Dr. Harrington rushed forward as the energy field surrounding Elorian began to destabilize. No, please. There's so much more we need to know. But the progenitor being's life force was fading. In its final moments, it shared one last vision, a glimpse of humanity standing united with other species against a darkness that threatened to consume everything. Then, with a pulse of energy that temporarily overloaded their suit systems, Elorian's physical form dissolved into particles of light that slowly faded away. The team stood in stunned silence, their minds struggling to process what they had witnessed. They were now the custodians of knowledge beyond their understanding, bearers of a warning about a threat they could barely comprehend. Humanity had just inherited the mantle of galactic guardianship, ready or not. The weeks following first contact transformed the orbital research station into a hive of activity. Teams of scientists, military strategists, and engineers worked around the clock to decode the vast amount of information Elorian had shared. Dr. Harrington established a special research unit dedicated to understanding the progenitor's biological and technological achievements, while Commander Gale coordinated with Earth's defense forces to begin implementing what they learned. Lieutenant Kai, or Sparks as everyone called him, immersed himself in the technical schematics. The young engineer's quarters became a maze of holographic projections showing partial designs for weapons and defensive systems far beyond current human capability. His obsession with understanding and replicating progenitor technology worried his superiors, but his progress was undeniable. "Look at this," he explained to Commander Gale during one briefing, gesturing to a complex diagram floating above his workstation. "Their weapons don't just destroy targets, they temporarily alter the laws of physics in localized areas. We're talking about technology that can manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe." Gale studied the schematics with a frown. "Can we replicate any of it?" "Some of the basic principles, yes. But it's like trying to build a quantum computer with stone tools. We need to advance our understanding of physics by at least a century to fully grasp how these systems work." Meanwhile, Dr. Harrington made breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding the biology of the progenitor race. Her research revealed that Elorian species existed partially in dimensions humans couldn't perceive, explaining their seemingly magical abilities. They didn't just master technology, she explained during a high-level briefing. They evolved beyond the limitations of three-dimensional space. The beings we're up against, these void hunters, they operate on a similar level. Conventional weapons might be useless against them. The gravity of their situation became clearer as they decoded more of Elorian's warnings. The Void Hunters were an ancient race that had rejected the progenitor's philosophy of protection and cultivation. Instead, they sought to absorb the life force of entire civilizations, growing stronger with each world they consumed. They had been defeated eons ago, but not destroyed, merely contained in a distant part of the galaxy. Now they were free again, and hungry. 6 months after the encounter with Elorian, humanity's preparation efforts were in full swing. Sparks' research team had successfully adapted some of the simpler progenitor designs, leading to significant improvements in Earth's defensive capabilities. New shield systems were being installed on major colonies, and the first prototype weapons based on progenitor technology were under construction. But progress came at a cost. During a test of a new defense system at the Luna facility, a calibration error led to a catastrophic overload. The resulting explosion destroyed half the testing facility and injured dozens of personnel. Sparks, who had pushed for accelerated testing despite safety concerns, was devastated. "We're not ready for this level of power," Commander Gale argued in the aftermath. "We need to slow down, understand these technologies properly before we deploy them. We don't have time." Sparks shot back, his usual enthusiasm replaced by desperate urgency. "Every day we delay is another day the Void Hunters get closer. You've seen the same projections I have, they could be here within years, maybe months. Dr. Harrington, who had been studying Elorian's memories of previous encounters with the Void Hunters, offered a different perspective. The progenitors didn't defeat them through superior firepower alone. They used understanding, knowledge of their enemy's nature, their patterns, their weaknesses. We need to focus on that as much as weapons development. Her research had revealed interesting patterns in the Void Hunters' behavior. They weren't simply mindless destroyers, they followed specific protocols, had hierarchies and strategies. More importantly, they had vulnerabilities that could be exploited, if properly understood. Commander Gale took this information and began developing new tactical doctrines. He called it the Fortress of Stars initiative, a comprehensive defense strategy that combined enhanced technology with innovative tactics. The plan involved creating a network of hidden outposts throughout human space, each capable of monitoring vast regions for signs of Void Hunter activity. But as humanity rushed to prepare, political complications arose. Some nations argued for keeping the progenitor technology classified, wanting to use it for their own advancement rather than sharing it freely. Others advocated for immediate disclosure to the public, believing people had a right to know about the coming threat. The debate was rendered moot when the first attack came. The mining colony on Europa was humanity's first casualty in the war nobody knew was coming. The attack began with no warning. One moment, the colony was conducting its routine operations, the next, strange ships appeared in orbit. They were organic-looking vessels, their hulls seeming to absorb light rather than reflect it. The colony's newly installed defensive systems activated automatically, but the shields barely slowed the attackers down. Within hours, the colony had gone dark, its 1,000 inhabitants presumably lost. When the rescue fleet arrived, they found the colony intact but completely devoid of life, as if something had simply reached in and plucked out every living soul. The response was swift and unified. Earth's governments immediately declared a state of emergency, and Commander Gale's Fortress of Stars initiative was accelerated. Dr. Harrington's research team worked frantically to analyze data from the attack, while Sparks and his engineers rushed to complete their weapons projects. The attack matches exactly with Elorian's memories, Harrington reported during an emergency council meeting. They're testing us, learning our capabilities. This was just a probe, the real invasion will be much worse. She was right. Over the next few weeks, similar attacks struck isolated outposts and small colonies throughout human space. Each time, the Void Hunters adapted to whatever defenses were presented, learning and evolving their tactics. But humanity was learning too. Each encounter provided valuable data about their enemy's capabilities and limitations. Sparks' team finally completed work on their most ambitious project, the Photon Cascade weapon, designed to disrupt the extradimensional aspects of Void Hunter technology. The weapon's first combat test came during an attack on the Zeta-9 mining facility. As the Void Hunter ships approached, Sparks personally supervised the weapon's deployment from the command center. Energy level stable, he reported, his voice tense. Targeting systems locked. Firing in 3, 2, 1. The Photon Cascade released a wave of energy unlike anything humanity had ever wielded. It rippled through space like a stone dropped in a pond, but the ripples moved in directions that hurt to look at. When it reached the Void Hunter ships, they seemed to fold in on themselves, their extradimensional components temporarily forced into normal space. For a crucial few minutes, they were vulnerable to conventional weapons. The human fleet struck hard, destroying 3 enemy vessels before the survivors retreated. It was humanity's first victory against the Void Hunters, but the cost was high. The Photon Cascade had nearly torn apart the fabric of spacetime in the battle zone. The victory at Zeta-9 marked a turning point in humanity's struggle. It proved the Void Hunters could be fought, could be hurt. But it also showed that humanity couldn't win this war alone. As Dr. Harrington had discovered in Elorian's memories, the progenitors had succeeded through unity, bringing together multiple civilizations to stand against the threat. Commander Gale, along with a delegation of Earth's leaders, began reaching out to other spacefaring races. Many were initially skeptical, but the evidence was undeniable. The Void Hunters were attacking their colonies too, and Ilorian's warning resonated with ancient legends in many cultures. Slowly, an alliance began to form. The Arcturian Collective, with their mastery of quantum engineering, offered to help refine the photon cascade technology. The Vega Consortium shared their faster-than-light communication networks, allowing for better coordination of defensive efforts. Even the traditionally isolationist Rigelians joined the coalition, their biological technology proving invaluable in detecting Void Hunter activity. Sparks worked closely with alien engineers, his earlier recklessness tempered by the disaster at Luna. Together, they developed safer versions of Progenitor technology, creating weapons and defenses that human physiology could better handle. Dr. Harrington's continued research into Ilorian's memories revealed a crucial detail: the Void Hunters weren't just feeding on life force, they were searching for something. Something the progenitors had hidden long ago, something that could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. They're looking for the Nexus, she explained to the Coalition Council. It's some kind of focal point for dimensional energy. If they find it, they'll become nearly unstoppable. But if we can find it first. As the Coalition's forces prepared for the larger conflict to come, humanity established a memorial to Ilorian on the orbital station where their knowledge was first received. The memorial became a symbol of hope and unity, a reminder of the trust placed in humanity by an ancient guardian. Commander Gale often visited the memorial, spending quiet moments contemplating the magnitude of their task. During one such visit, Dr. Harrington found him staring at the holographic representation of Ilorian's final moments. "Do you think we're ready?" she asked, joining him at the viewport. Gale watched as Coalition ships conducted joint exercises nearby, their different designs reflecting the diversity of civilizations now working together. "I think we have to be. We're not the guardians the galaxy wanted, but we're the ones it has." "Ilorian saw something in us," Harrington reminded him. "Something worth trusting with their legacy." As if in response to her words, a new fleet of Void Hunter ships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. But this time, humanity didn't face them alone. Coalition ships moved into defensive formations, their crews representing a dozen different species united in purpose. The real war was about to begin, and while victory was far from certain, humanity had already achieved something remarkable: they had brought together civilizations that might never have united otherwise. In facing this ancient darkness, they had discovered their greatest strength, the ability to stand together, to fight not just for their own survival but for all life in the galaxy. As the Coalition fleet engaged the enemy, the words of Ilorian's final message echoed in their minds: the universe may never truly be free of danger, but as long as there are those who are willing to defend it, there is hope. The battle for the future of the galaxy had begun.